Aloha and Bula from Fiji. We really need to stop meeting like this, but it's always a pleasure and a privilege to support these types of initiatives. To my Director of Health and the team behind you, Manuvi Mo McCready. Congratulations and thank you so much, team, for putting this together. Well done. To Sir Dr. Colin Tukitonga and your team at the University of Auckland, Bowilahi, thank you so much for your ongoing support. It's greatly appreciated. I also wish to acknowledge and congratulate you, sir. To you, Sir Dr. Colin Tukitonga and Professor Willie Nosa. Congratulations on your recent promotions to Professor at the University of Auckland. We couldn't be more proud. Now, making these opening remarks hits a little bit different compared to October last year in our first symposium. I'm not an academic researcher. I'm not a scientific researcher. I'm just an island girl trying to live her best life on our little piece of paradise called Niue. But research for Niue, by Niue, why it matters. How can we as Niuean people contribute to research about our Niue? I think we're a little bit hard on ourselves sometimes. We know more than we give ourselves credit. And sometimes we only realize this after somebody else comes and tells us. But many a time we can be overlooked, we can be undermined, but no one knows our Niue like we do. Now, if you don't know, I am currently undertaking the Wangahau Niue certificate course offered by the University of South Pacific at the Niue campus. I am 2 papers down with 4 to go. And as with all courses, there's a little bit of research involved. Hello, I'm a researcher too, even if at a very low level. So for my paper on traditional practices, I chose hair cuttings and ear piercing ceremonies. I skimmed the book, Niue, the Island and Its People, by Percy Smith. Percy Smith was basically the very first New Zealand High Commissioner to Niue in 1901. There was no mention of either ceremony in his book. But then I came to find that he was only on island for about 4 months. So I turned to the History and Traditions of Niue, written by Edwin Loeb. Many regard this as the highest or the most credible source of Niue history. He came to Niue a good 20 years after Smith, but then I found out he was only on island for about 7 months, or almost 7 months. In his book, there is mention of the ear piercing ceremony, but no mention of the hair cutting ceremony. And with the ear piercing ceremony, it is for both girls and boys. Now, maybe he personally witnessed some of the ceremonies because maybe he witnessed the siales and the monanga teeth being used in the ear perforations in the ceremonies. But I wouldn't put it past the cheeky fellow who wanted to embellish our practices. I don't know. I can only reflect on my own experiences piercing my ears and how impractical and painful it all sounds. But I digress. For my research, I have one writer from Britain with a New Zealand Māori lens who came to Niue for 4 months. Then I have an American writer who resided in Niue for almost 7 months. Well, if anything, I would put my money on the 2 Englishmen or two of the first London missionaries that came to Niue, Reverend George Laws, who lived in Niue for 11 years, or Reverend Frank Laws, who lived in Niue for 42 years. Years, not months. We also know that Reverend Frank Laws understood and spoke our language fluently, as he and his wife Sarah went and visited our Niuean soldiers when they were at the London hospital during World War I. The chant I used in the beginning is quoted directly from Loeb's book and uses the word whakawhahina. I can't recall that word being used outside of this chant, but maybe my exposure to the word is limited. I have, however, experienced a handwritten U looking like an N and vice versa. Whakawhahi ua makes more sense. Once you give it a good hard look and think about it, but only Niueans will appreciate it. Only Niueans will know this. If you really think about it, there are things that only we can do, and we have to think about our children who will follow. By Niue, for Niue. In August 2022, the Laws family presented the Laws Family Bible and family photos to the care of Taonga Niue. What a treasure. I hope we have copies safely stored in New Zealand and Britain, because we have such a harsh environment in Niue, and we have limited resources and limited people to help. But I wonder what else is stored around the world. As I know, the Laws family took gifts and other artifacts back to England, as I've found online, instruments for making pia, even spears, discussed on an antique roadshow clip that I have forwarded to the director, who may share at her leisure. In the first symposium, I mentioned a Niuean who contributed significantly to the Australian cinema and cricket fields. While not strictly Niuean, Herbert Bertie Nicholas's father, Frank, was born on Niue. His uncle Llewellyn married Lupo Kulukimata from Alasali, and their descendants continue to live in Niue. Willie and Sarah Sariteri, Heavy and Safari Puheke. I am the descendant of his naughty Uncle George. But if you want to know more, I have the newspaper clipping from the Australian High Commission, which was provided by my auntie, Olga Wilson. There is a plethora of information, artifacts, and literature about Niue that we're not fully aware of. We have Niueans now in New Zealand, Australia, Hawaii, where the Bishop Museum is concerned, and London. We have people that may be able to or have actually seen our stories and our heritage outside of Niue. We cannot have everything returned to Niue as we battle a harsh environment, but we can start cataloguing and centralising our knowledge into Niue. We can build on things in Niue, such as through the Cool Roofing Project. But there is ample more to be explored, built on from our environment to our culture, from our health to our history, because no one knows Niue like we do, and no one will care, no one will fight, and no one will love her like we will. So let's continue to hold the line and keep together to keep our fire bright and sustaining for all that will follow, for our children to build on, like we are doing from those that have gone before us. O e tulogi hamtulu te maho, o e tulogi hamtulu manakomut, o e tulogi hamtulu he bailama, umtulu ki te huli o liebe ko te toa haniwi, nukututa, kakahorut. Kia tūtanga rai, wharawhanoa hea tua ki te torosi. Kia tūtokanga, mui te ki awha Niue. Niue ki mnuena, i hawe whāroto, whauela i mahaki.